It's interesting when you think about India being, you'd know more than me on this one, but one of the oldest, if not the oldest civilization that we know of. But you see a very impoverished uh, country there, and we still look to learn from that. What do you think from your research is that with all that thousands and thousands and thousands of years of baseline history and say, look, this is how we started, this is where we got to go, that as a country have not evolved at the rate they should have with everything going there. You have the Hanumans, you have all hands on deck, Ganesh, you have Rama, you have Krishna, you know what I mean? With every possible avatar of sorts being there, what do you think still holds that country back, that it doesn't really seem to prosper and really live life as gods and goddesses, if you would?
I wish I knew the answer to that. That's one of the things that always fascinates me when I look at some of the oldest countries in the world, even in the Middle East and Africa. I wonder that it's like, how can this culture be so old, so ancient, but yet there's still warlike, there's still conflicts going on, there's still not so much peace happening. And I don't have an answer for that. It's just one of those questions of what is it? We can be quick to blame English occupation for it, but we know that it was sort of like this even before England. It was like this after. I'm going to get in a little bit of trouble here, but that's okay. I have somewhat of a controversial view of Mahatma Gandhi. Yes, he was peaceful. Yes, he brought some great spiritual teachings, but if I'm understanding correctly, he helped establish this hierarchy that exists, that's there. He helped separate Pakistan from India. And I'm almost thinking, yes, he had great intentions, he had great works, but I think some of the works of Gandhi really divided India and the peoples of India, and that just perpetuated over the years.
I mean, still today, very strong. India is under the caste system, the caste.
Yeah.
And but when you go there, it's so interesting because it is so ancient and they are so fascinated or in belief of various types of gods or God creator, however you want to look at it. But yet they are still under the caste system and they are still under so much poverty that it doesn't connect. There's a major disconnect.
I have a weird thought on this too. And I just remembered this thought I had. If we look at, and we're going to get wacky woo here because it's part of what I do. If we look at the evolution of a soul, younger souls coming into the bodies, reincarnating, higher souls, what if the younger souls need to go to someplace like India to get that spiritual teaching right off the bat so that they can get that deeper meditation, that deeper kind of working, so that when they're ready to move on, they can bring that teachings with them? What if India is like kindergarten? I don't know. I don't know if that's true. Some place, kindergarten that's run by PhDs, because some of those teachings are way beyond PhD level. They're just super advanced. I don't know. I'm just kind of spitballing that thought out there.
It's very interesting when you think about it from that point of view, because in the States, for the most part, like, okay, when you go to India, the first thing they do, especially if you have a business, before they even open the door, they pray outside the door. They start a temple, they start a little puja. So they're very, very, very connected from that aspect to source, but yet they're also living in extreme poverty. Then you come to the States, it's the exact opposite. You're some places that you live in the world, people don't even acknowledge your presence. They don't even say hello to you. And in terms of an entrepreneurship, you're coming into people's business, they really don't care in a lot of circumstances whether they serve you well or not, especially restaurants, right? But
yep.
Yet, there is an incredible abundance, an overflow of wealth in the United States.
Maybe that's what we evolved to, and then
so maybe
maybe
your theory. It could be right.
So maybe do we go, like, taking your theory, maybe then, Kaedrich, do we go from, we start here and then we take that pendulum swing all the way to the other side of the whole way of looking at it, and now our job is to be able to come back again and be like, okay, so maybe did we all at some point come from India, and then are evolving our way west and going west, and then somehow trying to get back in the middle?
We're finding the balance.
And you know, more, you know, more metaphorically, if you would.
I wonder if it would help if I sort of share my own personal understanding. Throughout my life, I've done multiple past life regressions. You know, I know how to do them. I do them with clients all the time. They're super powerful for resolving issues. And I've done them with myself. And I've had some very fascinating insights. Like, I know I had a lifetime as like a Roman gladiator type. Very brutal, very awful. I had at least 3 lifetimes in the Norse, where 2 of them at least were also very brutal, awful. You know, it was the time period. That was the kind of people we were back then. Then I had 1 lifetime where I started to understand runes. I started to understand the spirituality. I understood the connection, and I wasn't that way anymore. The lifetime after that, I went to India, and I spent a life in India as like a prince almost. There was definitely some nobility. And I remember my biggest frustration of that lifetime is I was living in luxury. I had my needs cared for. I was doing my spiritual work, and that was why I was there, was to do that spiritual work. But I was so frustrated at the plight of the people around me. And I was trying to get my family to take better care of the people. But I kept getting pushback saying, no, we're not doing this. We're not doing this. We're not doing that. And I just had this big headbutt with them. And finally, when I left that lifetime, it was frustration. So I did a lifetime as a Tibetan monk, which also was more frustration because I kept saying, no, the world, the things that we need to do is out there, outside of these walls. And I never left those walls. But knowing now, 2020 hindsight, that was needed. I needed that time period to bump up my spiritual connection. So both of those lifetimes taught me more about humanitarian, about how to care for more people, how to really kind of pay off that karmic debt for those brutal lifetimes and move more into a spiritual place. So India, for me, in my spiritual evolution in past lifetimes, was critical for me to leave behind those brutal lifetimes so that I could move into a more spiritual teaching place where I'm feeling is a better place for me as today.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's interesting. So here in the West, you know, more and more people, it's like we tend to go from one extreme to the other, you know, it's just life, right? And then, but so people then get connected to a lot of Indian teachings or Hindu teachings, however you want to phrase it, and they worship, or they start to really get connected to this physical figure called a guru. So there's a lot of these gurus there. What is your perception on gurus, and are there really true people in today's world? Are they people of God like that really do need to be held, or is that a real is it no different than a Baptist minister here in the Western world, from your learnings and what your perception of that is, Kaedrich?
I've noticed so much is that the intuition that I am receiving on a daily basis, the messages are so clear, and they come in like, you know, you hear a lot of people talking about, I get a download of this and a download of that, and that is the God's honest truth. Messages are just literally flooding in because the pineal gland is being decalcified. And